children, so it's my fault. This giveaway should have been happened. What happened was my Instagram ended up getting shut down, and that was one of the ways to enter and for me to pick a winner. They've since reactivated it, so it's fine. What I'm gonna do is, instead of giving away the drone or the hoverboard, I'm gonna give away both. So you get both. So this is what you have to do. You have to answer the question. I'm gonna ask something. You're gonna answer the question, and then you're just going to follow and share. When you share, just make sure you link to Skites, and that's how you're entered. And the more you share, the more chances for you to win. Easy peasy. Same as the other giveaways. So, all right, here we go. So here's the question. The question is, Game of Thrones just finished, so I figured I'd pair it with that. Game of Thrones just finished, and I was thinking of what series could really go up against Game of Thrones. Like, what series could go up against them, and what series, because you all seem to love it, at least the TV show.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
I was wondering what sci-fi series could go up against them. What series could go up against them and give them some competition? And for me, it's pretty easy. So I picked a classic, and here it goes. Game of Thrones versus Dune.
Try looking into that place where you dare not look. You will find me there staring back at you.
Dune! This is so good! Game of Thrones came out later. Dune came out first. Dune came out, I want to say in the 60s, mid-60s. I read it, I think I was like, the summer I was 8, right around there. It was Dune, I read it, and I Robot at the same time. So Dune, they're both multi-book series. They're multi-series. They were both turned into TV shows, mini series in a form, because Dune had an 80s version, and then they also had one in the early 2000s. Now, I wouldn't judge them on the TV series, because Game of Thrones, they put it's $10 million an episode when they do Game of Thrones. HBO is throwing some money at Game of Thrones. So Game of Thrones, the way they film it, it's $10 million an episode. At least the past 2 seasons, they've been really putting, like, they've upped that budget. Dune never got a big production, big CGI. It never got that treatment, but it never really needed it either, because the story, it's Frank Herbert's story, and it's so good. It's the story of Paul, and the story is about Dune, the planet, and the spice melange, and the spice melange is the most important, the most expensive, and the most important element in the galaxy. And it's really the story of Paul and him, you know, coming to terms with who he is, who his father is, who his family is, his reckoning with the spice and how the spice fits into his world, and how, you know, how things, you know, almost like oil or gold, or, you know, how commodities control us and how they control, you know, our version of who we become. And it's such a good story. One thing Frank Herbert did in Dune, which I loved, was he took a very modern look at marriage, and the way he wrote it was it felt very modern. I mean, yeah, it felt very modern, his take on marriage. So it's a really good story. And I mean, just dealing with the elements of the planet too, because there were sandworms and there were sandstorms. Not as cheesy as the Beetlejuice ones. They were meant to be imposing, but it didn't get the CGI treatment that it deserved. But again, this is the 80s and the early 2000s. The early 2000s, it was still, visually, it was still better. Not as cheesy, but the story is amazing. And it didn't rely on, and there's politics in it, there's political play. So it didn't rely on pomp and circumstance. Like, to me, Breaking Bad is a story of, you know, the teacher who has cancer and he sells drugs. And I couldn't get into that show for anything. You would think all that fireworks would excite people. Nope, the writing was horrible, and I was like, I just don't care. No, none of this. The writing was so bad and Breaking Bad for me. I was just like, no. But Dune is so good. It's so good. You don't need the CGI for you to get into that story. Whereas you have, you know, exploding trucks in Breaking Bad, and I just didn't care. I didn't care for the characters, I didn't care for the writing, so why would I watch it? Not the case with Dune. So, yeah, and there's 5 prequels. There might be more at this point, but there were 5 prequels, I remember, to Dune. and Children of Dune, and there's so many new books in the series. Like, they're still writing for Dune. They're still writing. There are still books coming out for Dune. And I just find that amazing. Some of the books are better than the others because you're dealing with different writers, but it's just amazing that the story, that you still get a story. Oh, it's so good. Oh, God. You know, if it's between, I'm telling you, I will ride until the end of time with Dune versus Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is a great book. It's a great book series. It's a great sci-fi series. A great fantasy series. What they did in the TV show was god-awful. When they started rewriting Jamie, and when the plots just, they were just like, you know, that we're not going to do that, because, you know, you mess with A and B, and then elemental P down the line, it doesn't make sense. So, and they leave so many things out. You know, I don't know why they just didn't say, you know, based, you know, loosely based on, because they just, the books and the TV show don't mesh at all. So I had it with, it did, that show, I gave up on that show a while back. No. So with Game of Thrones, it's a great story, it's a great book. Actually, if you measure Dune the book versus Game of Thrones the book, they're both pretty even. But I would still ride with Dune because Dune was very methodic in things that happened. And so was George R.R. Martin, but I felt like Frank Herbert was more methodical. And more, yeah, oh, so good. It was so good. So I would ride with Dune, and I will continue to ride with Dune against Game of Thrones. That to me is a pretty easy matchup. If I was you, I wouldn't base it just on the TV series though, the way they filmed the film versions. If you haven't heard of Dune, definitely Google it, you know, read about it before you pick, and then if you still want to pick Game of Thrones, fine. But I'm telling you, I would ride with Dune. I will ride with Paul and his people till the end of time. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we could have a different throwdown with Paul versus Jon Snow. But the thing is, it's about, you know, you have to take the book as like the full book, the full series, all the characters, all the plots. I don't think it's fair just to say one-on-one, because, you know, it's the plot and everything around them that makes them. I'm still, funny enough, I'm still riding with Dune. I'm still going there. So for me, it was Dune. Dune wins versus Game of Thrones. So let me know, Dune or Game of Thrones? Dune or Game of Thrones? Dune or Game of Thrones? Pick one. Leave me a comment. Make sure you subscribe. Share this. Link it to Skites. And make sure you follow Skites. And that's it. And next Friday, I'll pick a winner. So you'll have all weekend and all week next week to get on this. And that's it. Oh my God, so much fun. All right, sorry about that, but you're getting it. But you're getting two. You're getting the hoverboard and the drone. So we're not going to pick one. I'll send both of them to you. Anywhere in the world, it's open. If you can get mail, I'll send it to you. It might be a little big, but the package might be a little big, but you're getting them. All right, you guys, that's it for me. To quote the greatest show on earth, yeah, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Those are all the ways. Just link to them. Those are all the ways you can win. And that's it. All right, good luck. To quote the greatest show on earth, live long and prosper. I'll take you bye. Poke. Still riding with Dune. Dune. I always read the title like that.